Welcome back to another color crochet challenge. This time we are doing orange. We are almost reaching the end of this challenge, and clearly you guys have a favorite color because these are the stats. Just a quick overview of this challenge again. I want to use up my yarn stash. I'm trying to find projects that are based around one color. They don't have to be monotone, they just need to have the main core of that color. I've also linked down my Pinterest board where I have even more inspiration for you guys. Of course, I'll link all the patterns that I use down below in the description. I also tend to freehand a lot of things, so in those cases, I'll put down links to things that are kind of similar. I hope these projects are inspiring to you and will give you some ideas on how to tackle your own yarn stash. Is there anything else I need to say? So, without further ado, this is my orange yarn stash. I want to try to find projects that will use as much of that yarn as possible. So without further ado, let's crochet together. I'm gonna start off by going yarn shopping. This is a while back. Yeah. For my first project, I wanted to start with a plushie. I don't know, there's something about doing plushies that gets me in the spirit of crocheting again. I got this really pretty velvety yarn. I ultimately settled on doing a koi fish. So there are a couple of koi fish versions, but I wanted to see if I could try to make my own. Of course, because I know you guys are gonna ask, I freehand so many things, so I decided to make a written pattern for this. Yeah, that's my first project. Everyone, so it is a different day. I finished up making the main body part of the koi. Oh, you might be thinking to yourself, that's what I'm thinking too. Every time I make amigurumis, I really have to remind myself to trust the process, and this is clearly not an exception. Looks like a blobfish, an axolotl. Why is it staring into my soul? I placed my eyes over here so that the color change would be right at the top. Starting from here, I'll just make the tail go like this. So many other methods to make this completely no-sew, like if you surface crochet. Honestly, think it might be harder to surface crochet because everything is all stuffed. I just don't want to dig in there. So I'm just going to stick to making all the different components and then sewing them together. I have a tutoring session in around 15 minutes. So I'm going to do that, but I just wanted to give you guys an update. That's about it. So I will catch you guys when my tutoring ends. And I don't know, I'm feeling a little spontaneous tonight. I want to go outside. Turns out I wasn't bored. I just wanted a sweet treat. Here's the progress that I made. It's not that much progress. The way that I made it though was a little interesting. I did 6 single crochets to close the tail up like this. I chained 6. Then I went down and then I single crocheted it together somewhere in the middle, and then I did the same thing on the other side. What happens after here though is that my tail looks a little skinny, so I single crocheted all around like this, and at the very tips I think I put 3 single crochets. There were little gaps here and here. I sewed it in like this and then I tucked it in somewhere. I just kind of do whatever. casually watching my own videos. Watching my videos is actually very weird because I'm starting to look at myself and wonder why I don't look like that, even though it was filmed 5 months ago. I have to remind myself that it's probably just the lighting and the makeup style because I'm really trying to figure out what it was. I think the biggest difference is my hair. Back then, I was really trying to grow out my layers, grew everything out, like absolutely no layers. I don't know, I kind of want that again now. I kind of look like that one. Anyways, ta-da! From the side, it looks really cute. The front still isn't really giving koi. It kind of looks more like a goldfish, like a really big goldfish. I was actually thinking before that maybe I could make a mouth, because you know how koi fish are like... I love it. It's so cute. This was my plan though. I wanted a more cartoon version of koi. Project complete. So for my next project, I want to make a bag, and I haven't made a bag in such a long time, but I saw this gorgeous mesh bag pattern from Maham. I wanted to make a version of that with orange. So I was thinking about certain combinations with orange. I was really exhausting every single color combination, but I ultimately settled on this sort of orange and teal and white color scheme. I think it's very summery. Of course, I'm going to be using her video tutorial. So this is how far I got along with the bag, and I love the different variations of just double crochets, mesh, and color changing. Like I said before, it is very summery, and now that I'm kind of looking at it, it kind of reminds me of Moana, right? At first I was worried that it would be too Perry the Platypus, but now I can't unsee this. I digress. I'm gonna continue this up. I think it would be so cute to wear this but it's essentially just a long rectangle, and I was and I realized, isn't this how people make cat beanies? Like a really long rectangle? It's too big, of course. So it doesn't really look like. I digress. I'm just gonna continue working on this. Okay, hi everyone. Okay. I finished up the bag. I still need to weave in the ends, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a little lazy to do that right now. I will eventually, and I will do a liner for this bag, just not now. I made the straps a little bit different from the tutorial, and I was also playing some yarn chicken. I feel like this is such a good stash buster too. Make different stripes of different colors. This is my project pretty much complete. My face is still a little puffy from waking up, and there's dust everywhere. So my next project is gonna be a red panda keychain. I always thought it was really weird how they call it red pandas when they're not really that red. They're more orange. My boyfriend is obsessed with red pandas, and I don't mean it in like a I'm obsessed. He's obsessed with red pandas. But I saw this photo and I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't look real. So I found this YouTube tutorial that's kind of the similar vibes that I was going for, but it actually looks like a real person made it. I have this orange and this brown yarn with me, and I think they pair together really well. Guess where I'm gonna work on it? guys, it's 8:50 right now and I'm gonna do my nails. I usually do my own nails, like I have a little UV lamp and I do gel nails, but as I suspected, I wouldn't have time. So I got these press-on nails. Isn't this so cute? They're handmade. I took off my old nails. They're so messed up that I can't film any more crochet things because it looks so bad. It's a little longer than I thought it was going to be. Ooh, but it's still pretty cute. Ta-da! So I kind of made the ears a little bit uneven, but if I squish it in a certain way, it looks less uneven. I actually love this so much. I didn't really end up following the video tutorial. It accounts for the color changes in the pattern. And the reason why I did this is because I didn't want to count. I kind of just made a sphere. I embroidered a bit, or I keep saying embroidered, but is that not the term that you use for this? For this part, I tried doing a cross stitch technique. I ended up kind of struggling with the white parts. You see, it's not as crisp as the brown, and that's because I realized that the brown is a thicker weight yarn, so when I'm cross stitching it, it's really easy for it to cover more surface. The white one is like slightly thinner, so I needed to like repeat multiple times for it to work. I also have the tail, and now I need to add the little jump rings to it. Obviously with these nails, I think I might have a hard time, so I'm gonna see if I could convince my sister to do it. Ta-da! Look how cute. I need to remember not to forget this. I need a pack. Good morning, everyone. I woke up at 5:30 this morning to pack for my flight. Now I'm gonna get started on my next project. We can't talk about orange without talking about orange blossom. Come on now, the stripes are in the way. It's fine. I was trying to find some ideas on what to do with orange blossom. A plushie, or a little amigurumi figurine. But then I thought, why don't I just become orange blossom? I was staring at this headband last night. I think there used to be a patch here, but I don't really know where it went now. And I thought, why don't I just put a little flower? Kind of similar to what she has in her character design. It's like an orange and yellow flower. Do we see the vision? I was also thinking of making this a joint project. So I always wanted to make those flower chokers. I feel like your typical ones are roses, and I just thought, why don't we use that same orange blossom motif and make a choker around it? I think that would be really cute. I have a lot of time before my flight. I was honestly thinking about doing this on the flight, but since I have a lot of time now, I feel like I could just crank it out. And it might be easier to hot glue this. Let's do that. I feel like this should be a pretty quick project. I was looking for some crochet flower tutorials that had 5 petals on them, and I found this tutorial. I think I might just use that for both the headband and the choker, but we'll see. I might make the choker smaller. I was going back and forth with these two color schemes. Let's do the yellow. The yellow and the orange are more accurate to her character design. Okay, I was thinking about using a thinner weight yarn. The only weight through yarn that I have is this black yarn. I'm just gonna use a really thin hook size, maybe 2.5, and I'm just gonna make a really long chain. It's 8:30, so these two projects took me an hour. I was also watching someone play Club Penguin and Motion Monsters and Vantage, and probably not the most locked in that I've ever been, but still pretty good. What do we think? I actually really love this. It's so cute. I think it would have been even cuter if this was like a brown or a green. Yeah, this is the only sport weight yarn that I have. So before I start my next project, I needed to tangle all of this. While I'm doing that, I'll just explain my next project. So I saw these coasters that kind of look like pies. Like the actual coaster part is the pie filling, and then the coaster holders is the pie crust. And I thought, wouldn't it be so cute to make a pumpkin pie version? I know it's definitely not fall, but yeah, it should be a fairly simple project because it's just a circle. I was thinking about using single crochets instead to make the coaster thicker. I feel like I have a lot of thin coasters, and someone said in my comment section those type of coasters are more like doilies, so I'm going to try to make a thicker coaster so that I could actually classify as a coaster. But I feel like this would go well together for pumpkin pies. It's this burnt but also vibrant. I don't know. Justin is taking his graduation photos. Welcome to my hotel room. Yeah, so this is the closest I've ever felt to solo traveling. The hallway here is so confusing. I'm gonna give you a reenactment of what it felt like just to get into my hotel room. This is actually the last night that I am here, so I'm just going to enjoy it. This is my bed, the TV, fridge, a microwave on the floor because I requested a microwave. This is the closet, the bathroom. This bathroom actually has really good lighting, but I'm gonna shower and get unready. Oh, that's the wrong one. So here is an update from what I worked on in the airport. I don't know. I feel like maybe I made it too tall. I was just freehanding this, so it might not be the best iteration. I might start over. It's also kind of thin because it's only one single strand. I also have 2 coasters. I may make a couple more. These coasters are thick. They definitely will protect anything that you put it on. Oh, they don't even really fit inside the pie, huh? I was thinking that the base would be a little bit bigger than the coaster, but I couldn't really tell on the plane because I had the coasters in my suitcase luggage. I guess that does help me feel better about frogging this. Other than that, you see the vision, right? I also need to fix up the ruffles because I think it's making the ends flare out. Or maybe the rim is too tall? I don't know. I need to figure it out, but not now. It's really late. I think I'm gonna end off the night editing a little bit, and I will catch you guys most likely back at home. This is so crazy. This is the largest bed I've ever had to myself. Except for the time in freshman year where I got COVID in college and they had to quarantine me into an empty dormitory. And so I squished 2 twin beds together to make a long bed. But because I didn't have the mattress over both of the beds, I couldn't really use the 2 beds anymore. I'm gonna go sleep. Good night. Hi guys, it's been a couple of days since the last time that I updated you. What did I did a lot, but what did I do? Okay, so I did end up double stranding the yarn for the coaster holder, and this is what I got. Ta-da! It actually looks like a pie, although it kind of gives more apple pie. Suddenly, I'm a pie expert. Is that irrational of me? When I worked up the rim, I actually alternated between front post and back post half double crochets. I also did it on this bonnet over here. Remember this one? That really gives it that edge. And I kind of did a lacy shell stitch or something like that to make these bumps along the edges. But for the actual pie, I think the last time that I showed you guys, this was the coaster. I like to do slip stitches to give it that clean finish. The more I looked at it, the more I felt like something was missing. I was experimenting a little bit. So this is the before and this is the after. When I use the coaster by itself, it individually looks more like a pie. I feel like now it's kind of a standalone thing. So I ended up frogging the slip stitches. And then with my tapestry needle, I just kept like sewing it around, like weaving it around like this. I know there are some sort of stitches that allow for that twisty effect, but I don't know. I just couldn't do it. But I think it turned out really good. Imagine just doing different colors of these. Maybe when it becomes fall time, this could be a really strong contender for me to make a tutorial for. I feel like this project section is already too long, so I'm just gonna say project complete. Hi everyone, so my next project is kind of a crazy idea. It started out with me realizing that some sushi is orange. So that was one idea. I wanted to make some desk accessories. So I love my desk setup, don't get me wrong. My dad, his desk setup is kind of, it needs some work. I got reached out by a brand that I've worked with in the past. So this is my dad's home office. My dad is a pretty big guy, but he's working on this tiny little desk for years, so it was definitely time for an upgrade. I was gifted the flexispot E6 standing desk, and I decided to gift it to him. This specific one is 48 by 30 inches with a black frame and top. And as you guys know, since I worked with flexispot in the past, I already knew that this desk was gonna be so good. My favorite part about this is the height adjustment, and look how fast it Like, look how smooth and fast the speed is. I'm just gonna show you guys how easy it is to stand up or sit down on this desk. If you're someone who works at your desk for hours like me or my dad, you might understand how important it is to have a desk that works for you. And I love how this desk adjusts to how I'm feeling throughout the day. It can also lift up to 330 pounds. I don't have that much weight on me, but hopefully this stands the test, yeah. And I love their cable management system. So if you're looking for a standing desk, I'll link the flexispot desk sold on Amazon in my description box for you. And thank you, flexispot, for gifting us a desk. So my next project, I wanted to make some accessories for my dad. Now the hard part is, if he ever has anything on his desk, it has to be very functional. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this, crocheting for parents or for men in your life. The most functional thing that I've ever crocheted is eyeglass holders. On my channel, I've made so many. Now this is where the sushi idea comes into play, because I thought, what if I make a glasses holder that was in the shape of a bento box? And then it would have little sushi things, right? There's a lot of different components, and the orange part is only going to be a small bit of it. I hope you guys can understand for the sake of how cute this project is going to turn out. I've actually worked on it quite a bit. There's so many components that I ended up putting it in this little baggie that I got when I received some Little Things World yarn. This is so convenient. I'm going to traverse you guys back in time. I basically made this tray. Input a little tutorial that I used to help me get this perfect box shape. I really like it. It's very crisp. And you also saw I triple stranded the yarn. I have scrap DK cotton yarn. My other black acrylic yarn, it's a little scratchy. I was a little worried that it might not be the best place to put glasses on. And then I need to create little sections here. I asked my sister, and we were thinking it would be really cute if there was just a separate compartment like this to put a pen or something like that, because you know how some bento boxes, they have a place for your chopsticks? If you put 2 pens over here, then maybe it could look like chopsticks. Or honestly, you can probably just fit 2 glasses in here, and that would be just as cute. I just pulled up to a cafe, so I'm gonna try to see if I can do it there. Just took an exam, so we're getting something to celebrate. Okay, I'm back. So at the cafe, I thought I literally brought everything except for my scissors. Okay, normally for projects, if I don't bring my scissors, it's fine, but for a tiny project like this, I need my scissors, right? Anyways, I did the best that I could there, and I just finished everything back at home. I'm actually so proud of this. This tiny little thing, this is just made up of circles and cylinders. It's just a matter of where you color change. And then I embroidered this at the end. I guess in sushi, it would kind of be a maki, but I based it off of a kimbap. It's kimbap, okay? Okay, then we have this. So the rice part is literally just a cylinder. It kind of worked back and forth like this, single crochets, here, then back, here, then back. If you've ever made a flower or a leaf, it has the same sort of process. Like the edges, when you go back and forth in a rectangle, it's a little jaggedy. So I like slip stitching around like this for a smooth finish. And then I just embroidered my white stripes here. It's not perfect, but I love how it looks. I still need to sew this together, but I ended up making 2 compartments. I feel like if I made the smaller compartment like this, the shaping would look a little off. I will give you guys a final update when everything is finished. Now it's time for my favorite part, honorable mentions. I can just talk. This is a time where I share projects that I've done in the past, just for their inspiration, you know? I have my computer right here, and I have 4 honorable mentions this time. So the first one is this star headband. I made it for my friend's birthday. I think it's really cute. The second one is this red panda keychain, also given to my boyfriend, because segueing from that, this is another thing that I made for my boyfriend. This is, how do I describe this? He likes producing music, and there's this particular software called FL Studios for music producing, and the logo is this weird fruit that's orange. It kind of looks like a carrot. I just so happened to have a color that was that very specific shade of orange. Next, this is orange adjacent. I made coaster holders inspired by the One Piece pirate boats. This one is the Thousand Sunny, and I think she's so cute. I think this project was one of the first major things that I freehanded. I do have a couple of the coaster tutorials up on my page. Honestly, that thing's kind of haunting me. I have a much better setup now, so I possibly want to remake it one of these days, eventually. Yeah, I am definitely quality over quantity. Do you know what I mean? I just went off on a whole tangent, but those are all of the honorable mentions that I have. And as always, all of the patterns that I used for these will also be in my video description. Okay. So I have a lot of this orange plushie yarn left over, and I thought it would be a waste not to do a final project with this. I'm thinking about making a plushie of Pochita from Chainsaw Man. I actually haven't finished Chainsaw Man. I think I only watched the first 2 episodes, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna start it again. Luckily, I think I have all the colors, except for gray.
Hello? I'm so confused.
I mean, I should have all the colors. I have this scrap yarn. It's black. The orange, obviously, for the main body. I don't have gray, but I do have white, and I think that should be fine. I have white plush yarn somewhere. I just can't find it for some reason. I am just following this amigurumi tutorial. I think they just use regular yarn, so it's around like a couple inches wide. I'm hoping with this plush yarn, because the weight of the yarn is already thicker, it'll automatically be pretty big. Maybe adjust as needed. That should be good to go. Was this supposed to be suspenseful? I forgot. Little update. You know, I wanted it to be bigger, but I'm looking at this and it might be a little bit too big. So I went to 4 single crochets, 1 increase, 7 times around, but I think I might have to frog it and drop it to 1 less row, so stop at 3 single crochets increase. I'm just looking at this and I'm worried that I won't have enough because I need to make the legs as well. And also the biggest safety eyes that I have are a little bit small for this. So I think I'm gonna frog it. But anyways, I thought it would be fun to film a short form content. I really need to get back on that. But I have this idea of like, how many episodes does it take for me to finish Pojicha? So I would give little updates, like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, like progress checks. I think that would be fun. pojita is all finished. So cute. I made a couple of adjustments to the pattern. I made a lot of adjustments to the pattern. Okay, for example, I did scale it up just because I wanted him to be a little bit bigger, or her. Is pojita a girl or a boy? For the chainsaw, I actually made 2 sides and then I single crocheted them together. That way it would be really thick. I think the koi fish taught me that little stray pieces like these can get a little flimsy. I think for the fish it's fine because it's fins, but for a chainsaw, I don't really think you want your chainsaw to be flimsy. For the little handles here and here, I just did chain and then single crochet back, mainly because plushie yarn's harder to work with smaller stitches. And then I made a triangle because this is the chainsaw. You know what I mean? But so cute. As much as I don't really like to make short form content, it does keep me accountable for getting things done quicker. So I wasn't able to film as much long form. But hopefully I was able to put some of the short form content that I worked on. This took me 8 episodes of Chainsaw Man. I also want to share, remember that really big pink ball of yarn that I had? I use it for stuffing. It's finished. Anyways, this is my project all complete. I don't even want to know how long this video is. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this video. Guys, it's been such a long time since I did this color crochet challenge. I'm kind of at a loss for words on how to end this. You know, I was actually watching the other colors, mainly because I had to pull other clips from there, and it honestly baffles me how much we've grown throughout this entire challenge. I think you already know what my next color is gonna be. There's like only one other option left. I have a few projects that I have in mind already, but if you have any ideas, drop them down in the comments, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye.